Yes.
Oh, now we can start.
Now we can start. Okay. Yeah. Be sure to use your mics tonight for the TV. I'd like to personally, again, thank everybody on this committee and for helping with the bike repair station being installed, because I think everybody here did something to try to get that project going, from moving, handing out those flyers. I know David was very aggressive there at the Monster Cookie handing those out. So again, thank you very, very much for that help and the committee's success on it. Moving on, I'd like to see if everybody would approve the minutes of our August 2017 meeting. Do I have a motion for approval?
I move we accepted that. Approve the minutes of the August 10th meeting.
Second.
I have a second. All in favor, say aye.
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 Any opposed? And one abstention. I abstained since I was not here. At this time, the committee allows appearance of interested citizens to talk about subjects that are not on our agenda tonight. Joe, do you have anything? It appears that we do not have anybody tonight to talk about interests. So moving on to, and I know West Keizer started their meetings this month, so moving on to the council liaison report. Councilor Freeman.
Yeah, so the West Keizer does start back up this fall tonight at 7 p.m. and I believe they're in the McNary room. So please join us for that. We do have several openings on several committees, and who better to tell than people that are already on committees, right? So there's 3 openings on the Budget Committee, 1 vacancy on the Keizer Points of Interest Committee, Parks Advisory Board, there are 3 vacancies. Our committee, Traffic Safety, Bikeways, Pedestrian Committee, there's 3 vacancies. And then the Stormwater Advisory Committee, there's 1 vacancy, and we're always looking for youth liaison as well. And so if you're interested in any of these committees, they are listed on our website, and your application needs to be in and received by the city on November 8th.
Also, the Planning Commission, we had a resignation last night.
Okay, so that will be then posted
Yep.
for the next time.
Yeah.
Question? And when you say vacancies on the committee, are these like vacant people, terms that are coming due within the next, what?
Yeah, so like
couple of months or
budget, they've
something?
already expired. They actually expired in August, but since budget doesn't meet again until like January, they weren't quick to, I mean, there was no need to do those quickly, and we didn't meet, we won't meet this month, because you guys are gone, right? Debbie and Tracy have a conference, so we won't be meeting this month. And so that gives us longer time to recruit. So it could be openings of people's that terms have expired, and
Tracy?
and then Debbie points out too if they're going to reappoint or not.
Say John, Dennis, and Pat, your terms end at the end of December, so that's the vacancy. You're interested in reapplying.
Yeah.
So, yeah. And I know the Parks Board met on Tuesday night to talk about, prioritization of safety items or safety things in the parks. And so they're working on compiling a list of top priorities. And I would like to extend another thank you to Wayne Fry for the manning and striping and putting the nets up at Hidden Creek Park for soccer. And it's just for practice fields. There will be no gameplay there, but they won't be reserved, so it's first come, first serve. And we toured that on Monday night at the Parks Tour, so it was very nice. Thank you.
Thank you, Kim.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Moving on, One of the things that, again, thanks to a lot of Wayne's work, is the development of, we don't want to use the word safe routes, but routes to the schools in the Keizer area that look safer. We don't want to use the commercial version of
Walking routes.
walking routes.
Routes to school.
Cool.
Yeah.
And he's developed a lot of them. And the question is, where should we store those as we work to try to get them into the school's website? And I think there was some discussion, maybe the city could store those on our website here, and that way parents could at least get some ideas, because like Cummings Elementary, they have a website, but they don't have any routes to walk to school or anything like that. So it might be at least beginning to be a service from Keizer, but maybe the schools, as they see that, can download it. That's just some thoughts.
That was one of, Mike, I don't remember if the comments were to, I think, was it to the entire committee? But I had commented that it seems like the work that Wayne has done, or once we get it into its final form or whatever, seems to be primarily belong to the city, and then we should try to get the schools to adopt a link or something onto their website. That way we have more, well, we have permanent control over the content of it and the ability to update it and so forth.
I think we discussed that last time, and I'm not sure if there was a motion on that to put it under the city direction, but that's where it should go. And then Pat also suggested some enhancements to the walking routes to school before they can be officially called safe routes to school. And things like actually drawing the map and putting the route with an arrows and where the sidewalks are and where the crosswalks are, to make it more of a graphical type of a thing rather than just a listing of directions, more than just a cue sheet for bike rider people.
Would you be willing to work on that?
Well, I can. I'm not sure I have the tools to do that.
I'm kind of not very good at that kind of stuff, but
I can attempt to enhance them by marking the routes on a map.
I wonder if it would be a sort of
Multiple
thing
maps,
that,
multiple
that would be a good senior project for one of the high school students, to get that, kind of synchronizing the mapping and the cue sheets and
Joe
and
just stepped
web,
up.
web
Joe
interface.
Tillman?
My day job is computer-aided drafting, so if there's some way I might be able to help, I'll be happy to throw
There
that
you
in
go.
there.
Wow.
Would you want to work with Joe? And Pat, would you be willing to work on it too, or?
I mean, I can work on it from the perspective of, I guess, what I would envision would be clear and easy to use. I mean,
Right now, it's just a list of instructions from how to get to school from
Okay.
different parts of the neighborhood. And what we're looking for is to enhance those to get like a Google map and then overlay the map with arrows.
Okay.
Or
lines of different colors, perhaps, for if there's sidewalk or no sidewalk or
For
things like
what I do right now, it would be easy to go to a PDF. I could probably talk to people and find out a way to get it onto Google Maps using the Google Earth or something. But the one question I would have would go towards Public Works, is if there is a CAD version of the maps of the city, or is it all in GIS or nothing at all? Or
We have it on GIS.
okay, I could probably import it, but that's where my expertise lays. Whatever the right word is.
We'd have to talk with our expertise and see if
Right.
that's compatible and that works out, I guess.
Okay.
So that would be a good second step to make it more of a graphical user interface, the maps overlaid with the arrows. I'll be happy to work with you, Joe.
Okay. Thank you.
Sounds good. Thank you.
Now,
Thank you.
I have a question at that. At the end of this process, are those maps printable? Because some people, like at the school, at the individual school, would want, like the PTA or something might want to hand out 30 of those.
They are printable, but they, if you use Google Maps or Google Earth is what I was using, it's going to take a lot of ink.
Or I'm just
Right.
wondering what the,
And if you show the terrain, if you just show the streets, that would be less ink involved.
From what I would produce out of CAD would usually come out as a PDF, which is easily printable. I can do, well, black and white or color, so. Lots of choices.
it should be, for an individual school, you're not talking about excessive distances, like 3 miles or anything like that.
No, just that geographic area surrounding the school.
Because technically speaking, anything beyond a mile from the school is the child's, bus services should be available, so. Okay, thank you, Joe. Is that okay, Wayne?
Yeah, that's great.
Okay, great.
That
Sounds good.
gives me my next assignment.
Not that you haven't done a lot for Keizer already. Placement of, or update of Keizer bike routes. These are more recreational routes that I've been working on. I came up with about 5 more in all. I have not shipped them yet to Debbie. She was going to put those, and there were on the Keizer's website as a link. And these were all in Ride GPS, where they're downloadable with the maps and as well as turn left at Lock Haven kind of instructions. And right now I have I think we're up to 10 that are done, and we're all short walk bike from various spots in Keizer, including from the one of them is like from Cummings Elementary to Wallace House and back, and then one from the park to Wallace House, and then some from here to Keizer Station and back, and trying to hit north, south, east, west, but short routes that have bike facilities or are considered low traffic areas. So that was kind of my project, and I've got so many done, but we'll get them to Debbie to help put those on. Cycling season's kind of winding down a little bit. Supposed to rain Sunday, so.
It's not going to stop true. That's
Not
gonna stop
true.
Real
but-
bike riders.
But the recreational short rides probably won't be, but we'll get some more. On the outreach, we haven't done really much on that, other than want to let everybody know that the Scenic Bikeways group has a conference on October 13th at the Salem Convention Center, and this is all, I think, 32 Scenic Bikeways groups are coming to talk about scenic bikeways, their economic impact, the issues, whatever. And if anybody's interested, let me know. And Alex Phillips has it on her Oregon Parks and Recreation website. It's a free event, so, and it's October 13th.
I have something related to
Okay.
scenic bikeways. They are looking for they have an opening on their committee for someone who wants to help evaluate rides. And I know this because I attended the Oregon Bicycle and Pedestrian Advisory Committee yesterday at Mill Creek. People from all over the state were there. I stayed for the morning session. They also had an afternoon session, and I got lots of information from that. But they do have an opening if you want to evaluate scenic bike rides on a bicycle.
Yeah, you have to actually ride them.
And,
Yeah.
and then fill out some evaluation
I've,
form.
I've done that before, and it's a interesting process. You don't just ride like crazy. I mean, they'll divide it into segments, so you ride maybe 5 or 10 miles and then stop. Every time the scenery changes, you stop, and you do a consensus evaluation of the traffic conditions, the scenic conditions, the road conditions, and so forth for for that piece, and then they go to the next piece. So it's a good group process.
That get published then?
Well, the routes are nominated from the local level, and they come into Oregon Parks and Recreation and to that committee that we're talking about. And some of the committee members, and I guess as well as other people, do these route evaluations. So the route has to score high enough, but based on the riding conditions and the scenic conditions, for them to forward it to the Parks and Recreation Commission for approval.
Also, Alex Phillips, who is the program chair or program manager for the Scenic Bikeways, has did a little bit of a coup d'etat. She's going to be talking to Travel Salem about and promoting the economic impact of the Willamette Scenic Bikeway to both the Salem area. And this is the Travel Salem Sports Group includes a lot of hotels and other restaurants that are on that committee. And so it'll be I'm planning on attending it, and should be another opportunity to talk about bikes and bike safety and the scenic bikeways. Moving on, Surfest. David, it's September 24th.
I saw that.
Okay, and they would like to buy 40 helmets from us, and the event is from 10 to 2.
Where?
Right here, right out front.
Chauber Jones Park.
You know, and
I'm gone that weekend.
and Marianne is having knee replacement surgery on Thursday, so I'm not sure.
I can set it up, but I'm leaving Friday morning, so
So
I won't be
we'll
back till Wednesday, Tuesday.
You're looking for people to.
Yeah, we're looking for
people
people.
to fit helmets.
Just fit helmets.
It does, and actually it did, what did they say, 10 to what, 2?
And two,
Yeah, we made it till about 11:50.
Yeah.
With 40 helmets.
they're gone that fast.
It goes really quick, and then you can leave.
I might be able to come over at 10 and put anything up.
Somebody wants to do, I could either get the helmets or show you how to,
Is that
Set up.
a Sunday?
Yeah, it's a,
somebody wants to take over. Somebody has to set it up. They
we have
usually have a tent for us. No, they didn't have a tent.
no, we got to pop up.
Yeah, but they have tents for some people. We have a pop-up also.
It's just a matter of getting the 40 helmets, which I can.
Well, I can get the helmets.
Okay.
Deliver them to somebody.
Deliver them to me, and I can at least show up, because I know Marianne will want me out of the house for a few
I'm sure
minutes.
she will. You want the tent too?
Yeah,
Okay.
and
The brochures.
as many brochures. I have a lot of safety information that I just, Julie retired, and I got her whole supply.
Oh, well, it's like you have an extra garage.
Yeah. And I have moved, David. We're at 5158 Lacey Street. It's off of Windsor Island. It's off of Willow Lake Road.
Down there somewhere.
Yeah. So,
Yes, I'll be happy to help.
and I'll try to help anybody else.
I'm already got another volunteer thing that week, that weekend, so I'd help out, but I'm tied up already.
Well, I can tell you that, as David mentioned, we get over there, 9:45, whatever, and we were fitting helmets and we were wiped out, sold out or whatever by 10 o'clock, or by 11, so. Joe,
What a
you
long
wanted-
haul.
Joe wants to help too, so.
Good. I think I've got company coming that weekend, but if I don't,
How many? We could put them down too.
Yeah, just have them come on over. Well, a couple, 3 people would help, and like I said, it's not the event itself, and there's all sorts of things going on here. They have dental work going on. The auditorium is a huge clothes fair.
You ever been to that?
There's barber and salon, school supplies. It's a wonderful event.
They do
And
hairstyle.
they try to make it kind of festive. There's hot dogs, and I believe they're going to have the Northwest Hub do bike repair.
Yeah.
So our role is just to fit the 40 helmets, which the Lake Point Church buys. I want to make them, they do the $5 for each helmet, and then we just fit them. So if we have 3 or 4 people, that would be perfect. And I'll work with David to get the helmets and everything, and I can probably deliver them there Sunday morning. Okay, thank you. Also, the next event that's coming up is the Keizer Chamber Foundation is having a series or leadership series called Building Better Boards. It's going to be Thursday, October 19th from 5:30 to 8:30, and it'll be right here. And for city committees, it's free. So if any of the members here are interested in attending this, is my name already on there? Oh, okay. Okay, I can put it on. So if anybody's interested in that, it sounds like a pretty good deal, and it's not just for our kind of committees. It might be helpful for other boards and school things that you may also be involved with. Okay. Let me get my name on here and we'll continue on. Also, I know in the past, Kathy and I have attended the ODOT Safety Conference, and that's going to be October 23rd, this next month. I'm going to be gone, so I won't be able to attend this year, but it's trying to remember the hotel. It's the same one we were at. It's up by Washington Square. And Kathy and I commuted to it, and I attended one on, and that was early enough on roundabouts, and they kind of gave me some insight about about roundabouts, what's good about them, what's bad about them, what ODOT did as far as working with trucking firms and things. So I walked away with some good information, and I know Kathy, you had.
yeah, I thought it was a good program, a lot of interesting stuff.
So that's October 23rd, and if you're interested,
What time of day is that, Hirsch?
it's
Two full days, or,
2 full days.
do you know, have the registration information?
Yes, right here. And I can give it to Tracy. It's ODOT, and have the tentative agenda. And again, it's real tentative according to Nicole.
So they probably had that on their website.
It is on the website for the, when you go into ODOT Traffic Safety Conference, you can register on their website also, but I'll give this to Tracy, so if you're interested.
Is there a fee on it? They charge?
Yes, there's a fee.
think city paid
La-
for it.
last time, we,
City paid for
the
it.
city paid for it after, reimbursed us after we paid for it. And I believe Bill said that there was, we're talking $25, I think, for reimbursement, and it didn't come out of the helmet fund. So
We don't have that much. Oh, we do.
I'll make sure that that's available, but I can't make it this year because I'm doing something important. I'm going elk hunting.
We got relatives up there.
Committee member input. Dennis, I'm going to start down with you.
Nothing to report at this time, Trish.
John.
I have a few things. First thing is I want to thank Officer Winning for all the work on the issue I raised, I think last month, the no turn on right sign. Got the response. I understood it from ODOT. Am I online here? Okay. If memory serves, that intersection was rebuilt when Keizer Station or Volcano Stadium was built. That's 20 years ago or so. Anybody with a memory that long?
I know there was some improvement over there, but there was even more improvement when Keizer Station was being built too. Yeah, because Dennis was still mayor, so that had to have been well before.
The response talked about coming to a stop and not having proper sight distance down the railroad tracks for oncoming railroad trains. Of course, that intersection has arms and such that I imagine would be activated in time to prevent any traffic from being in danger when they cross the tracks. My specific question to whoever would be welcome to respond is, do you think what we have done would cause ODOT to take a look at that intersection to see if that sign is appropriate? I can understand the response, the initial response, more or less explaining why it's there in the first place, but do you think there will be some further activity on ODOT part similar to the no right-hand turn sign coming off of that street?
If you look at that email, I believe he said that they would look at it, but they don't have any funding, proposed funding or set aside funding for any future improvements. And I talked to Bill Lawyer after the last meeting, and he said the city of Keizer actually paid for that other sign to be upgraded. He said he just paid it out of our own budget. Not sure if he's willing to do that a second time, but that's how we got that taken care of the first time.
Thank you. As a follow-up question, do you know by chance, did you ask Bill what that cost for the first sign was?
I did not.
Can you get that as a possible request for a budget in future years?
That probably wouldn't come from, that request wouldn't come from me. It would probably come from either Mike and the Public Works side or from this committee to council for that budget
Would you
item.
be willing to follow up on that request, Mike?
I can ask him and get the price that we did pay for that one that is just east of there. I do know, however, he did not have plans to make a request or make a change there. So for his standpoint, unless there's a recommendation from this committee that he needs to look into further, his plans are to have it stay as it
I
stands
think-
right now.
If I'm the person driving this on this committee, I would like to know what kind of money we're anticipating before we consider moving forward or not.
Okay, I'll get you a number.
Great, thank you.
You bet.
I also need to thank Officer Winning for taking his tape measure out. However, I only measured 35 inches,
1 inch.
and I got photos.
I didn't pull a plumb bob, so it was eyeballing it from about as close as I can get my head to that box,
Yeah,
and it was right at, I mean, If it's off an inch, then that's very possible that it's off an inch, but it was enough to where you can get a wheelchair through there. Ideally, we would like to get the homeowners to cut back their shrubbery there. It would give a little bit more room on that.
Yeah, I
lower
was
side.
measuring it just before this meeting, and while I was standing there with my own tape measure and such, a bicyclist came and I had to move out of the way. So, and then 2 walkers came by. So it's not something that's not being used. The shrubbery, I don't really have a remembrance of shrubbery coming up to the edge of the sidewalk. There's bark dust there and such.
What location?
Pardon me?
What location are you talking about now?
Tepper Lane, beginning the walkway that goes underneath the railroad tracks if you were headed eastbound toward Keizer Station.
Okay.
They have U.S. Postal Service boxes right on the sidewalk, which I think is 48 inches wide or
Should
something.
be 60.
Hmm?
It should be 60.
60, and they take up what I feel is somewhat of a significant area.
Okay.
It's a sidewalk, so I'm just,
Is your question regarding bicycles or wheelchairs? Or for accessibility?
I think the governing rules would be wheelchair, ADA access,
Correct.
so.
5-foot sidewalk, 60 inches with a 3-foot width for wheelchairs.
Yeah, it's no problem for a bike.
Not even my Kawasaki. Because I've ridden it past there several times, especially during the eclipse, to get from one area to the other relatively quickly. So I can get the bike through there, but
Nice to know where the shortcuts are.
Thank you again. Appreciate your work on this. That's all I have, Hirsch.
Thank you. Pat?
Okay, I have several things also. One of them is an idea that's a follow-up to our celebration of the bike repair station, and I guess it also ties to something that was mentioned last time about little cards that you could hand out about, was it about bike helmets or something?
Right,
Did you,
right.
yeah.
Where you can get bike helmets.
bike helmets. So I thought we should have maybe some kind of a wallet-sized card that we could carry that tells people that locations and the existence of these bike repair stations in English and in Spanish, because it prompted me because I was going along the Parkway bike path, and I stopped to help a man that was riding a bike, and he was carrying stuff, and he dropped some stuff, and I helped him pick it up, and I noticed that his tires were pretty low. So in a combination of Spanish and pantomime, I was able to tell him about this new bike repair station, this one that we just celebrated tonight. And his first question was, is it free, you know? And so that was an important consideration. So I was thinking that may be a project that our group or staff may want to take on, is something like the one that publicized to get the money, to something that we can hand out to people.
Mike, could we work on something like that? Because Debbie's the one that helped do the cards, but if we got something that said, here's the bike repair station in both English and how to get to well, we have 2 of them
Right.
right now, in both Spanish and English,
And a picture of it or something.
and little cards that we
yeah.
can hand out. I know in the Southeast Keizer neighborhood, we could give them out at the neighborhood meeting, and with the Mennonite Church, they have such a strong community connection. Now they have a connection with the school. They could hand out a lot of them in that area, as well as the other neighborhood associations. I know it's always a budget issue to do little cards, but
there's only 2 in town
right,
yet, so far.
so far.
And so most locations are a heck of a long way from the bike repair station. It's just, if we had like 4 or something, it would make more sense.
Well,
I mean, because it would be within riding distance of where you were handing them out.
Well, Southeast Keizer is just across Dearborn.
Okay.
Anyway, just food for thought, maybe we can
Work on it. And,
think
but
about how, if that's a good idea and how it would best.
the I'm always, is Debbie was able to make those cards up for us minimal cost. So I wouldn't want to start doing something that's going to be a budget issue.
And maybe it's a modification of what she already developed, maybe
Have
able
the
to just,
picture and then,
and now we put the ad,
Put the info on the back.
because I know she saved that on a,
Like a postcard.
a
Yeah,
3x5.
Maybe we'll see if Debbie's interested in
yeah,
helping out.
well,
Okay.
we can, I'd be willing to work on that and maybe show where the Salem one is and also.
Second thing was a issue that I brought up before with the little neighborhood cut through that leads to Wallace House Park there, and I think I reported last month that Public Works staff had got right on, made some modifications, and then I had some further suggestions, and I was able to talk to Bill Lawyer about that the opening still was not wide enough to meet the 36-inch ADA, and so I think they're gonna, you may want to answer that, Mike, I think they're gonna look at it again and do another take out part of that so that at
One of
least,
those posts.
yeah, or take off one of the wings or
Yeah.
something like that.
Leave the post, just widen it a hair, so you still have the wings on the side, but give the 36, actually, it'd be 38 inches, so give a little more room than the 36,
Okay.
so.
Thank you for doing
And that'll
that,
be something
Pat.
coming up here
Okay.
next few weeks.
There's, they mentioned the terms that are going to be expiring on the committee, and so I guess I am intending to reapply for my spot on the committee. Another thing that I noticed in going to these great concerts that were at Keizer Rapids, like the Rotary Amphitheater over the summer, is that the bike rack there is one of those really bad ones, a child-style wheel bender bike rack in them. So maybe,
It's
I
the
don't know
old
if we want to.
Nielsen style rack that went out of style when I was in high school.
Right, so I don't know if we want to either put it on our radar somehow as to eventually how to get some modern type bike racks that are good for bikes of all sizes and
Kind of like
types
what
and
we
sizes.
have out in front,
Like what we have out in front would be very nice,
and
yes.
they're relatively cheap.
I will miss the October 12th meeting. I'll be out of town then. The last thing that I wanted to mention was we previously discussed the placement of garbage cans on pickup day and how a lot of them are in the sidewalks and so forth. And I don't know if I forgot whether that was something that anybody on the committee or staff was following up, or maybe I should try to follow up with Lauren Sanitation, find out what their existing directions to homeowners are, and maybe if work on trying to modify that so that more of those cans end up against the curb on the street side rather than on the sidewalk. I've been doing a lot of walking lately and anticipating for a walking event that I'm going to be doing, and so I end up moving a lot of trash cans as I walk along on pickup day.
Mike, did you get any, I wasn't at the meeting last month, so.
The answer is it's allowed on pickup day, and so there's not a lot you can do about that. I mean, I understand the situation, I understand where they're put as far as the bike lanes and whatnot, but it's something that is acceptable on garbage day. The fact that they might stay there longer, then it maybe becomes a code enforcement issue, or our guys are driving around and we see it and we can make it a point to, remove it or knock on the door and ask them to remove it or so on and so forth, but.
But I mean, I guess I'm thinking about situations where there's plenty of room for them, instead of putting it on their sidewalk and creating like 1.5 feet that you got to walk around, they could just bump it down the curb in front of their sidewalk. There's many places where they could do that without affecting parking opportunities at all,
Word of
or
mouth
say,
and getting that out there, and I mean, and I understand that it's just it's hard to get everyone to be on the same page. So
There's another in the same vein, the garbage cans that are put out on the street, like on Chemawa, because we've redesigned the parking, I used to call a parking strip, but between the sidewalk and the street, you can't put your garbage can there, you have to put it in the street. But when they're in the street, there's no bike lane on Chemawa on the westbound or the north side of this.
I mean, I think we
north
identified
side of the
that.
street, and I don't think there's any, I was looking, well, I could solve this, there is no, I didn't see a solution. Because there's not enough room in the driveways, you can't put it in the strip between the street, it has to go in the street.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I remember when we discussed it, we thought of some situations like that that would be difficult to resolve, but as I've been walking around, it seems like there's so many that if the homeowner had the direction, you know, if you can place this in front of the curb without affecting traffic, then do that. Or if there's no curb, don't put it in where the bike's going to be, put it on the edge of the unpaved area. And, you know, there could just be some clarification maybe of where they could put it that would allow people to walk more easily with it.
I
And
see,
still access for the trucks to come up and
I
pick
kind of see
up
this
the
as
can.
an educational thing that the garbage provider might be willing to do.
They might, yeah, if they, if,
Lawrence has been very receptive to this community
I
on
send
a
out
lot of.
a nice little letter every year, it tells you how far apart to put your cans.
Yeah, maybe they could say, if there's a bike lane, please. Yeah,
You don't leave it out overnight,
Yeah.
longer than necessary.
Nelson kind of, because they'll be sending out their letter in February or whatever, and of course, we have more than just one, besides Lauren, there's Valley Sanitation, correct?
Yeah.
But, yeah, so maybe, do you want to work on that and just talk with it? Because I know Lauren's, I've been a customer for years and went to school with Wayne and everything. They're definitely receptive on things that they have some control over, and if we're telling them not to do enforcement, but, you know, when you do your letter, could you mention this? They're probably going to say, okay. They don't want to get out and be enforcement because
No.
their job is to pick up garbage and to do it as cleanly and efficiently as they can. But I know this, the week before last on Chemawa, before you got to Shoreline, there was a couch in the bike lane. It eventually, when I first saw it, it was on our stormwater area. And then it was in the bike lane, and then when I came back, it was gone. So I assumed somebody from the city had said, don't put, that's not the best place to put a couch. Yeah, exactly.
So that was my last item.
Okay. David?
Keizer Fire District Fire Prevention Week, open house is Monday, October 9th. And anybody want to come?
I can help on October 9th. It's just that thing at the end of the month.
Gonna bring your dog this time?
Oh, God.
That's also combined with Public Works, just so you guys
So
know.
you'll be
We're
there
opening up
too.
our doors, and it's gonna be a Keizer Fire Department along with Public
Yeah.
Works right behind there, so.
Just send me, I'll help. Anybody else?
I'll show up with helmets and what brochures I have.
And
Anybody else like to come?
What time is it?
It says it's from 6:30 to 8:30, yeah. It always starts earlier. I get there about 5:30.
Yeah.
It's convenient, and
What day of the
And it
people are
moves.
showing up at 5:30,
And
yeah.
it moves so fast. Yeah.
Yeah, right across the street,
What day of the week is that?
Monday. It
Oct-
goes real quick.
Another meeting?
We got our little signs, get her five.
Well,
I think
we might get Mary Ann out there because
she's not gone,
they have to, they've told her, you walk.
well, that's not walk, she gets to sit then.
Well, she could walk around.
Walk the
Yeah.
dog, that keeps the kids busy.
Yeah. We'll see if we can bring the dogs.
Okay, so that's the 9th, and I have the form I'll give to Anna Marie.
We've been doing that for I don't know how many years, and it's been a very successful event for this committee. We get a lot of helmets, but a lot of it we get to give out and talk about bike safety and pedestrian safety, because there's parents there.
Couple, 3 years in a row, we ran a bicycle test. We put
Skills.
a little route out in the back parking lot before they started bringing in helicopters.
Yeah.
And we'd test people on whether they could stop quick and signal and go over a 2x4 or something.
Yeah. Well, I don't think they,
And we brought the bikes then. I think that's why we got the bikes originally, just to,
well,
anyway,
October 9th.
yes.
Yeah, that's a fun event. It's just. Kathy,
Yes.
again, thank you for Salem Keizer Transit's support of this committee.
You bet. And along that line, Roxanne Belts said that she definitely would be open to another bike rack for Keizer. If she said she has to kind of balance where she gives out this money, but so I think we should definitely be thinking about where we might want to put another one and put in our request. And if
And
she's got
I
the
don't want to
money,
wait till that.
for the very last minute, right?
That was very interesting. You know, here's the money, but you know, you want, you know, this is a governmental entity, and we have to follow the rules. And having it as a gift, boy, that really made us move.
Right.
And then Public Works, man,
Yeah. So if Public Works is willing to install another one, we'll go ahead and maybe this committee can plan on where we want to put it. Well, we could ask for it first, then we can,
yeah.
then we can decide where to put it, I guess. I also want to thank Officer Wenning for emailing those cards that we can hand out to kids who need helmets. I haven't printed them off yet, but I'm going to do it. And then finally, this is kind of ironic. On my way here, I passed a bicycle accident on River Road in Maine, right in front of the Taco Bell. And I'm wondering if you know anything about that yet.
I do not.
Okay,
I will know tomorrow,
yeah,
and probably when I go back into the PD, but 7 o'clock, the day shift gets done. I heard it come in, but it didn't sound serious.
okay, good. I know that.
My
ambulance
concern
deserve
is,
it.
since I lived 38 years on fashionable Main Avenue by Taco Bell, cyclists had a tendency to, you know, on the sidewalk. And we don't know if this one was on the sidewalk or River Road, but just, you know, right across on the sidewalk and the motorists not looking that direction and pull out. And I'm just speculating that that's what happened, but be interesting to know what happened.
I can
for
find
this
out
kid.
and try to email tomorrow.
Okay.
Yeah, I just saw him pick up the bicycle. The front wheel was all
Yeah,
twisted.
it's
That's it.
Wayne. And again, thank you, Wayne, for your service to Keizer.
It's,
You got a soccer hat on and everything.
thank you, Hirsch. The soccer field's at Country Glen Park, and I'm real happy to have that as a outlet for kids to have a positive, healthy activity. Yesterday, related to traffic, I went to the Oregon Bicycle and Pedestrian Advisory Committee at I believe it's the ODOT building, Mill Creek, and met a whole bunch of people from around the state talking about HB 2017, which is the transit bill that passed. And I don't know the dollar value of that transit bill, but there's lots of dollars available. And there's people working on trying to figure out how to allocate those dollars throughout the state. One of the things that they recommended is to have your projects qualify, you have to have an inventory of your projects. For like safe routes to school, they want to know if that school has sidewalks or not. You know, if we do the preliminary work of taking inventory of our schools, then we, you know, there's a whole process to go through, but we would be in a better position to qualify for money for safe routes to school. And there is a lot of money available for, and it's a whole big old thing of where that money's going. So that would be one thing, to take inventory of our existing plans. How do we want to acquire some of that funding from House Bill 2017, the transit bill that passed? And I received some other things, Oregon Bicycle and Pedestrian Plan, putting policy into action, lots of really good information. One of the things they recommended is separating bike crossings and pedestrian crossings. You usually hear them in the same sentence, bike pedestrian crossings, and they're recommending that thought be given to separate them and separate our thinking on them, to consider them as individual items. That's all I have.
Okay, the only things I have is the bike-friendly community application has been submitted. Thanks to Pat and John, and definitely for Mike, who even found us a computer to work on. And it's in, and we'll just wait and see. We did a lot of beefing it up. I talked with the organization and said, well, what do you really look for? What do you want? And, you know, not that we were being greedy, but, you know, we got honorable mention last time. And I talked to Silverton, who did the same thing, and they got denied. And I was like, okay, you know, why did Silverton get denied and we got honorable mention, and then other communities, you know, get gold and bronze? You know, what's the difference? And basically is, well, a lot of communities have committees and do bike stuff, and they said, well, just by checking the box that you have one doesn't tell us that it's an active one. So we put some narratives in on the things that we do. We, on the enforcement end, we talked about what the police really do here in Keizer, actual performance things, not just, yes, we have a police officer on our committee. We actually said, well, he does these things and whatever. So we try to beef it up with stuff we could say, yeah, we do this, these are the, you know, we didn't mention anything last time about the Wild Rec bike program that we participate in. So we did all that kind of stuff, and we'll see what happens. And plus, we gave a narrative about Keizer's history and talked about our tax base. You know, let's, you know, don't compare us to somebody else that, you know, has a huge tax base. This is how we do things. And I emphasize one of the things that we got feedback on last year was that we needed to work more with our schools to get the program. Well, I try to explain that the Salem Keizer Schools is a separate entity with their own budget and functional goals. And here's how we've interacted with them in the last year. And we try to explain that. So we'll see what happens. On the Eclipse, we've had some bicycles that were kind of nice mountain bikes, nice Arrest Me Red colored ones. And the CERT team was concerned about being mobile and everything. And they borrowed the bikes with helmets and some flashers that we had left. And Officer Wennings, I heard that they really found them very useful.
They did. They were able to get around the park relatively quickly. And that park, if nobody's around and you're on a bicycle or you're in your car, you can traverse it relatively quickly. But when you put 1,000 people in that park with vehicles and tents and, dogs and people walking around. It was really handy to be on those bicycles to get in and out of where they needed to go for the assistance that they were providing. So they were ecstatic. They loved it.
So, David, we got the bikes used.
Good.
Mike, staff report.
A couple of things. Our annual resurfacing project of our city streets is not over yet. Our contractor got pulled out to do some emergency work and has 3 streets left in the Gupster neighborhood, Stonehenge and 2 different sections of Manzanita, and we hope to have those done by the end of September. And we hope the weather works out for us and we can get that completed. So that'll be wrapping up here shortly. And then along those same lines with the rain, our stormwater guys are out and about the town cleaning catch basins with our VACCON truck in preparation for the rains. So it's something we do yearly. Yeah.
On the stormwater, this is kind of more of a personal question. The plants in there, they're huge around town. And some of my neighbors have went out there with a weed whacker and cut them down. Is that
They're not supposed to.
okay? Well, I'm not,
But we
It looks
do like it
nicer.
when they pull weeds, and we encourage that because the funding for that, and we have a contractor that comes once a month, but as you know, weeds grow a lot quicker than that. So those have kind of been some growing pains that we've struggled through as new development has, and we've installed these VSS, vegetated stormwater facilities. So it's something we're working on, and
Okay.
pretty soon the contract will be going out, and we'll get another contractor on board where the trimming and that maintenance will be more frequent is what we'd like to see, but it's kind of a slow process, so
Okay.
that's that.
Any questions for Mike? Officer Winnings.
Thank you. We're finishing up the speed, seatbelt, and DUI grants. Hopefully next month I'll have, by next month I will have the grant stats for the committee, and you'll probably see it in an email and press release probably prior to that. We're looking to hire 2 lateral motor officers with a start date sometime in about the middle of January. I just got back from a conference yesterday in Bend where I just happened to mention that we were having the positions come open, and the fact that we don't have rotations out of the unit and into the unit unless you're not performing. I had 3 or 4 guys just chomping at the bit to get my card and get my email and get the information. So we suspect that this is going to be very good for us. We just need them to pass the background and make sure that they're a good fit for the unit before we hire them on. And that should go out. I'm guessing the announcement's coming out very soon because we're already reviewing and double checking our work, and it'll probably be out in the next week or so, I'm guessing. One of our reader boards is down right now. We're waiting for Stalker to send us a new sensor. So we're down to 1, which is disappointing because we've got lots of neighborhoods and lots of folks calling in to have that deployed. So we're doing with 1 that still works. We had no major issues with the traffic on the eclipse day. It was congested, but it was smooth, slow going. We had very few crashes as a result. And it seemed like everybody's GPS took them north on Shamawa, and out, actually not Shamawa, but out River Road to like Brook Lake Road to get them out to I-5, which kind of worked out well for us. But we did have a lot of backup again going down Lock Haven out to I-5. We had a fatal on Russet and Shepherd Court last Saturday night, or 2 Saturday nights ago, motorcycle versus truck, and it was a fatal. That'll go out in a press release next month for when we clear up our DUI stats, so that'll be highlighted in it. And speed and being intoxicated or impaired played a factor in that.
Motorcyclist or the driver?
Motorcyclist that was killed, struck a truck. So no criminal charges at this time, not even looking at that. So myself and Sergeant Leday were out there conducting the crash reconstruction. So we determined that. And I think that's it.
Anything else from the committee? It sounds like we got a couple projects starting next month here, so.
I have one more thing.
Okay.
Under House Bill 2017, I learned an acronym. It's called SWIP, Sidewalk Improvement Program. And I want to find out a little bit more about that, and maybe there's something there that could be used for Cummings Elementary.
Now, part of the transportation package is a new fee, I was going to use the word tax, but fee on bicycles. So new bicycles that are over $200, there will be a $15 fee assessed that will go into a program to promote cycling, safety, and infrastructure.
That's just for adult bikes.
Any bike
For
over
bikes.
$200.
Does that apply to tricycles?
24-inch wheels, I think, or bigger.
They said, my representative said any bike over $200.
Oh, I have
There's a size limit too. But
My understanding, Hirsch, it is adult bikes. With a law, I think, was intended not to punish children. But we can look into
$200
that.
bike for a kid.
It's just Senator Wyden probably made the best summary of it, because many of us cyclists with, that's a tax, it's a sales tax and all. He said, well, this is a good step for cyclists and cycling advocates and others to finally say, yes, we are paying our way.
right, it stops a lot of
Yeah,
arguments. So
and,
it
From
was a
that
good move.
standpoint, I'm supportive of that, even though initially I was quite opposed to it.
Well, now there's a fund too that will go towards bike and pedestrian improvements, so that's good too.
And some of the education, and, Marianne and I and Katrina, my daughter, have been quite active in bike education locally, and we even did a bike skills fair in Falls City last month, which was rewarding, and having a little bit of funding and maybe some grants that can be applied, especially to teachers that are interested, is good.
I have one, just point of interest, there's a bike race this Sunday. It's a kayak from the downtown, Salem,
Yeah, river to
to
ridge.
Spong's Landing, bicycle, it's a 50-mile bike ride, which ends up at
Silver Creek
Falls.
Falls, and a run
And
up
then a
the,
half marathon.
that's River to Ridge. It's being sponsored
Yeah,
by the city of Salem, to be honest with you, as part of their Sister City program. And again, it's paddling from Wallace to Spawns, not swimming, it's paddling.
yeah, kayaks.
And then cycling from
Spong's to
Spawns to Silver Creek Falls.
I thought it was a 5-mile hike.
Is it
or
5
run.
miles? Well, it's not a race, so,
And then it's and then they have shuttle service back to.
right, yeah.
Wallace.
One more thing.
Go ahead, Wayne.
Also, this meeting that I attended yesterday, I talked to the gentleman. He said Chariots has an education program on safe routes to school, and they called it a Train the Trainer program. He gave me a name, Brian Potwin as a contact. So maybe I can find out more about that too.
Okay. Roxanne would be the one that.
Actually, I think they have another program that trains you how to
Raise,
ride a bus, pay the fare, read the
Okay.
schedules and stuff. So, it's a good especially for kids who
Yeah.
haven't been on a bus much. Yeah.
Anything else from anybody? I'm going to go ahead and end this meeting till next month. And Pat, you said you won't be here for next month, if I, okay. And again, thank you, everybody, for helping with the bike repair station. That was we can put down as an attaboy for us.